Welcome to Sacred Magic. Violet is on a quest to bring sacredness back into our everyday experiences. Anyone can have an extraordinary life when they are able to tap into their sacred magic within. Violet and her guests will be sharing their divine passions, inspirations, and stories of connecting with their sacred magic. We are so happy you have joined us today. Let's get started with your host, the magical creator of Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, Vialet Rayne.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sacred Magic Podcast. I'm your host, Vialet B Rayne, and my guest today is we have the Asheville medium back with us, Anthony. He's a psychic and evidential medium, a spiritualist, and a 5-year member of the Church of the Living Spirit in Lilydale, New York. He's a 10-year member of the Best American Psychics. He's also a teacher, an animal communicator, a certified vibrational sound healer, and a certified past life regressionist. Anthony is going to be in Denver in July teaching several classes. It's his second time coming to Denver. He came last year and taught a class, and everybody loved all of the classes and the things that he offered. So we have him coming back. And so I just wanted to chat with him today so that more people could get familiar. Maybe you want to travel to Denver to take a few classes, spend a couple weekends with us. He will be at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts in July. So we just wanted to chat, and just so you know, Anthony and I can talk for hours. So we will have to have a timer because we're really bad at just going on and on and on talking. But welcome, Anthony, to the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Violet. Thank you for having me again and hosting me again to come back in Denver. I'm super excited. And yes, we had a full house with everything last time. So um, I'm excited to be teaching. I'll be teaching Intro to Mediumship, and then also I'll be teaching blending, I think blending of spirit, right? And
Yep. Yep.
that's an intermediate class. So those of you that took my classes last year, or anyone who wants to take an intermediate mediumship course, I will be teaching that for 2 days as well. So I'm excited about that. And then we're also we have me scheduled for a psychometry class too. And the importance of psychometry in your mediumship is the name of the course. And psychometry I learned when I was at Arthur Findlay College. And I had a tutor there that I had a class with for a couple hours. And the importance of psychometry gave me the inner peace of my mediumship to get into my clairsentience. And I also feel like it also helps you in your mediumship because you're not being distracted with the person in front of you. You know, it's an object. Psychometry is reading either an object, a piece of jewelry. I mean, if this coffee cup was gifted to you from a friend or a loved one in spirit, their energy would still be there. The memory of it, the special, maybe they gave it to you as a gift for your birthday or Christmas. That memory would be attached to that energetic memory, would be attached to the object. Or it could even be an object that you have purchased with the simple fact of someone, with a memory of someone special in spirit, whether it be a friend or a relative. And so that will still have the energetic impression on the object. When you're doing psychometry, you're able to really focus your attention on the object without the distraction coming from the person sitting in front of you. And so it becomes easier to be able to, the object's not intimidating to you, where the live person sitting across from you in an exercise in a class, your nerves tend to build up, right, Violet? I mean, you tend, especially in the beginning parts of your education, or you're beginning a part of your developing your mediumship, because your confidence level is low. So, you're going to have a little bit more energetic anxiety or nervousness with someone sitting like 3 feet away from you. Um, but the object is less, intimidating. And that also could be a photograph as well. So it gets you deeper into doing your mediumship. You get deeper in your feelings with your mediumship through psychometry. So it's going to be an interesting class, and we'll talk more about it in the next time when we meet up, because we have another podcast before I come out to Colorado. Um, but anyhow, um, we should have a good time. The classes are always fun. We make them fun. But I do work my students hard, because I want you to be able to make a connection. I want you to be able to understand the foundation of mediumship. And I want to be able to build your confidence so that you're onto the next step of your unfoldment of your mediumship.
Well, Anthony, in Denver, we have lots of people that are mediums or show up as mediums that teach mediumship classes. And I just want to share with the audience a little bit. The reason why I have Anthony in particular travel to Denver to teach mediumship. I've had my center almost 10 years now. We opened in 2017 in April. And so it's 9 years. So we will be moving into our 10th year. And I've lived in Denver for a long time. I've been a natural medium since I was a child, but they never had real professional training or education. And what I mean by that, there's lots of people that are mediums and they step into that energy and start working in that energy without having the practical foundation and understanding of mediumship. And what most people don't know or understand is mediumship grew out of New York long, long time ago. And these spiritualist camps or spiritualism is really where it started showing up and it started growing and educating. And what I love about Anthony is he's been to Arthur Findlay College. He's taken those classes. He's studied in Lilydale. He teaches in Lilydale. He studied with Tony Stockwell, James Prague, right? So he has this really amazing foundation of understanding really what mediumship's about. And what most people don't know is there's lots of different types of mediumship, not just psychic mediumship. There's so much more. And the reason I was fascinated to bring him in, and last time when you were here, my students were shocked that I was sitting in the class as a student, because I naturally do this, but I've never had that practical foundation, that evolution that really takes you to another level of mediumship. And there's lots of people doing mediumship, don't get me wrong, and they have their own process. But as a seeker, a scholar, I want to understand the practical foundation of the history and how this works, and the techniques and the understanding and how you communicate and what you should do, versus the medium that says, oh, your family loves you. Yeah, I'm sure they do. But what else can I know? Anthony's laughing, right? Have you ever been to a reading and you go sit down there like, your mother's here and she loves you? Yeah, I know that. Tell me something that she would know that other people may not know, so that I know you're really talking to her. Give me something that has value, right? And if you've not had that experience, Anthony creates this beautiful container that allows you to practice and learn. And he's compassionate and loving, and he does it in such a beautiful way that people travel to take his classes, because we've had students travel in from other places to Denver to take his classes. So that says something in itself. So, Anthony, share with us, what is the difference between a psychic medium and an evidential medium?
Well, I would say the difference between a psychic and a medium. An evidential medium is you should be an evidential medium, period. Um, because you're doing mental mediumship, you're connecting with the mind um, to the spirit world, right? You're blending, you're expanding your auric field, you're gently projecting your energy higher than psychically. Um, and you're communicating with those that have lived here in the earth and who've transitioned to the spirit world. So that's working with the spirit world. That's mediumship. Psychically, when I'm working, if I'm doing a psychic reading, I'm still expanding my auric field. I'm gently projecting my auric field to gently blend with the person in front of me who has an auric field as well. We all have one, but I'm able to blend in your auric field so I can read, where you've been in the past, maybe certain specific uh, challenges in your life that you've had, whether, from your childhood or maybe right up to the part, to the point of where you are now in your life. And that will dictate to me or explain to me where you are now presently. And we'll talk about that. And then, we'll move forward to see what opportunities you have, maybe interests that you have without you telling me, right? I will probably connect with your spirit guide who will tell me everything about you, right? Um, and it'll be information that only you would know about yourself. Because I don't really use cards when I'm doing a psychic reading. I don't really need to. So I just and I teach how to work within in my psychic development class with using your chakras, connecting your chakras to those particular clairs, whether it be clairaudient or clairvoyant or clairsentient, all the clairs that are related to your chakras. So that way you're able to determine as a student how you work individually, where your abilities are individually, because we all work differently. And through the course of time of practice and years going forward, those clairs and those clairs will change and grow. So you might have only been clairaudient in the beginning, but you weren't able to be clairvoyant. And then now all of a sudden you're clairvoyant, you're still clairaudient, but now you have another clair that you're working with that suddenly appeared because you were working towards that. In mediumship, it's sort of the same way. It's not like you're going to take just 2 courses and become a medium. um, I think it took me probably about 6 or 7 years to really unfold my mediumship to where I am today. And now I'm an advanced medium, but I'm still learning and growing. I still take classes. I still, I pick up tidbits. And also the spirit world is still teaching me, even in my readings, they're showing me something completely different that they've never shown me before. So this is a good example. I had a gentleman that I had come in with his wife. They came in for a couples reading, and he was a Vietnam vet, and he carried with him so much guilt from his experience of being in the war. And uh, what came through were 20 of his comrades that he knew very well in his unit, and they all came in together at one time, which I have never had that come, like that many people come in the room. um, to say that, this gentleman has been holding on to guilt because they all passed at a traumatic explosion, unfortunately, while they were there in war. And, this gentleman that I was reading for was the only survivor. And he took it upon himself that if he would have done something differently, they would have all still been alive today. But that's not true, because they said to me, I mean, without him, he didn't tell me anything about his life, but they specifically came through to tell me full details of that experience, what the mission was, the unfoldment of it, and why they know why he's feeling guilty, because they all know your feelings, your thoughts, your ideas in the spirit world. And they told him, nothing would have changed, no matter what you would have done. It was our time to go. We didn't know that at that time, obviously, but because they're in the spirit world, they know now, because they have a greater awareness and understanding of the situation. And, we all leave the planet in different ways, whether it might be, a natural cause or a disease, unfortunately. I mean, we are going to pass eventually, that's the reality. We're all going to transition to the spirit world. So we all have a different, a different exit. And it was just so happened that all these people, but when they incarnated in this lifetime in Earth, they made that decision to exit that way, you see, and that's what was trying to be explained to him. But it gave that client so much healing, and he was crying like a baby. I mean, he really was. But the evidence that came through that reading is so important. Um, and it doesn't have to come in a group like that, but I mean, say for instance, if your grandmother came in, uh, or your mom came in spirit and wanted to communicate with you, the medium would be able to tell you, your mom's personality, how she passed, what she looked like, um, maybe her hobbies. Did she work for a living? And if so, what did she do? What organizations did she belong to? How was she perceived by neighbors and other people? What were some of the experiences that you shared together that you would remember, that her daughter would remember during this reading? And so the medium would bring those specific details of those experiences. Um, sometimes names come through. Now, I'm not a name medium, but sometimes I do get names. And that's the evidence that you want to have from the medium. It's evidence that only you would know. It's evidence that it's not generic, and it's not something that you can look up, even though that would be the last thing I'd ever want to do. But on the other side of the coin, the customer, if it's generic, the customer is going to think, well, yeah, you probably looked up something, Googled me, right, to find this information out. Any of the information that comes from spirit, you're not going to be able to Google. I would say 99% of the information should be specifically evidence that only you two people would know and that you shared together. Or there would be about information about your family that nobody knows about. That will come through in the reading. That's true mediumship.
I love that.
Okay. Now, if someone's telling you, oh, your aunt's here, okay, so they got a hit with your aunt. Oh, she's so proud of you. She's loving on you every day, and she's doing this and she's doing that. Well, that sounds generic. It's not, I'm not going to believe that my aunt's there. I mean, it's possible that you did get lucky and my aunt's in spirit, or or they could say, "Oh, I have your grandmother here." Well, yeah, I'm 62 years old. My grandmother is in spirit, I mean, that would be a normal guess, right?
Mhm.
So it can't, what I'm trying to say is it can't be generic. If you're connecting with grandmother, tell me about her personality, tell me about what she loved to do, maybe some of the things that you both share together. Tell me the last time, obviously, you have memories of grandmother in the past, but she's so much part of your life now. The spirit world is so much part of our lives now. Like, oh, grandma says that you purchased new cupboards for your kitchen. Yes, we did. Oh my gosh. She says, but there's one particular um, uh, drawer that squeaks when you open it, and it's not contracting back in like it should. So you have to get it fixed. Yes, absolutely. And also, there's just recently, you were sitting at your office, or maybe you're sitting on your deck, and you and your husband were sitting on the deck, and you were looking out into your beautiful view of the mountains, and you're having a glass of wine, and you were talking about me recently. Yes, we were, like within the last week. When I say recently, it's like within the last week, like 2 days to a week. Yes, we were. Well, grandmother was standing behind you, and let me see what conversation you were talking about. Oh, you're going on a new trip to Italy, and you were discussing the trip and how grandmother would have loved to have come. She's going to come with you. See, that is very specific. The details that she's with you currently. She knows what's going on in your home. She knows the conversation you're having, the trip you're having, where you were sitting at the time having the glass of wine. Only you would know that, you see, but that proves that they're also with you currently, not just in the past.
Mhm.
Okay. So as the medium, it's our responsibility to go and ask, through mental mediumship, through the mind, to connect with spirit and ask the questions to get the details from the spirit world. All right. So yes, I've studied with Tony Stockwell and James Van Prague. Um, I really, really connected with Mavis Patilla out of all three of them that I've studied with. Now I have studied with other people as well, other wonderful teachers. But I really connected with Mavis's teachings, and Mavis was a senior teacher at the Arthur Findlay College, so she was considered the matriarch of mediumship, and she traveled all over the world to teach mediumship. And she'd come to Orlando usually twice a year. So I would, and she was usually there for two weeks or 3 weeks, teaching two or three different courses, whether it be intermediate or beginning, intermediate, and advanced. So, because I live in North Carolina, it was much shorter flight than to go to Arthur Findlay College, you know. So I took advantage of the education with her. Now she studied with Gordon Higginson, um, and Gordon Higginson was the medium of the 20th century in England and of Europe, and he was the equivalent of our Edgar Casey here in the United States. So he's a very famous medium, and he also was the president of Arthur Findlay College. So the significance of Mavis studying under Gordon and them working together and being so close, not only as friends, but as colleagues. But then me having myself having the chance to study with Mavis was pretty amazing. Now, Tony Stockwell also teaches at Arthur Findlay College as well, and that's when I went to Arthur Findlay to go study with Tony, as well as Omega several times as well. So, yeah. So, I mean, they're all good and they're all excellent in their own way. But I just felt like I really resonated. You know, you always tend to resonate with a particular teacher or mentor, and I really resonated with Mavis, and so I stuck with it. I took all her classes, even though I had already taken intro to mediumship and intermediate. I took them over again because I wanted to see how her teaching was different, and it was. Um, so I tend to teach her methods. Now I also use some of Tony's methods as well, and some of the exercises and methods of James von Prague. So I mean, I'm kind of like a conglomeration of everybody. But I think don't we all, I mean, as teachers, Violet, we all, we learn from different people, and we're always learning something, and we're adding a little of this from somebody and a little of that, and it kind of makes us more well-rounded, doesn't it?
It does. And for people that teach, right, like me and you, it's important that we're always seeking too, because everybody has a different style. Everybody has a
Mhm.
different perspective, how they see things, what works for them, what doesn't. That's what makes us all different. And I love that
Right.
aspect. I love the fact that you talked about Mavis because in Denver, Tony's been here a couple times and done classes. So we do have people in the area that have taken classes from Tony that I'm very aware of.
Mhm.
And some of these teachers have taught online too, so I get that as well. But it's nice to have that blend, that history, that knowledge. And then I think we all make it what I would say our own approach as we blend all these different techniques. And we, wow, that's really cool. I can see that working for me. It's funny because, people think, oh, well, you can't teach mediumship because you learned mediumship from somebody else. I think we all take the things that we learn, especially as teachers, and spirit talks to us too. There is that thing like when I'm writing a class, spirit's guiding me what book to buy, what research to do, where to look. I could be watching Sunday morning on TV and something pops up and I'm like, oh, that's for my class. And you might think that's crazy. I could be having a conversation with somebody and they're talking, and maybe it's a question or maybe it's an experience they have, and I'm like, oh, that's for my class. I mean, my classes come in from all over, but I really feel like my divine team is guiding me. She's writing this class. You need to hear this. You need to watch this video. You need to see this on TV. This conversation is going to happen. This person's going to make this recommendation. And I love how it comes together, right? And then when you
Absolutely.
get done with it, you stand back and go, wow, I created that, right? With a
Mhm.
lot of help, but I put it all together and organized it and made it make sense for me. And then I think as teachers, I'm sure you do too, you test run it with your first class. And when you get done with the class, you're like, wow, that really was really smooth and that worked really well. That
Mhm.
wasn't really well. It didn't fit there. Maybe it fit somewhere else. And I think after you teach something a couple times, it kind of settles into where it needs to be. And then as we evolve, we go back and tweak things again and add, and hey, this is a really cool thing I could add here. But what I love about you, Anthony, is you have this mixture and this professionalism that you bring in that honestly I've been looking for mediumship teachers that teach mediumship for 10 years now, and to find that quality that I was looking for, right? That place where I go and go, wow, I got a nugget there. Wow, when you've been doing this as long as you and I have, we love when we can find a nugget somewhere. And it may not be the whole class, but there's definitely pieces of it that were like, oh yeah, I needed to remember that. I needed to be reminded that. I needed that nugget. I'm here for a reason. We should always be learning and expanding. And I love that aspect. So I'm really excited to have you back in Denver. I loved your
Yeah.
stories you shared with us today. That made it very clear on what, if you're getting a mediumship reading, is it that level quality of information that you're getting? And I love
Yeah.
the fact that our loved ones, our guides, our angels are always with us. They notice everything that we're doing, that cabinet drawer that's not working, right? That gathering that happened in the house, the remodeling that was created, the vacation that people went on. They're
Mm-hmm.
with us in those times if we were just pause a moment and be aware. They're having those experiences right along with us. So I love that sharing as well. And Anthony, I'm so excited about you coming to Denver, and I can't wait to see you here. We always have such a great time when you're visiting here, and we always try to take really good care of him while he's here. So
Well, I thank you. You do a great job. I just might add that uh, I can just say that there are a lot of people who are teaching mediumship now. I just want to add this because I feel I've taken a lot of education, but I feel that everybody needs to know that, I think your mediumship unfolds as well as your personal life at the same time. So simultaneously, both are evolving. Um, I think the more that you take courses, the more it humbles you, the more that you're learning from each other, but you're also learning from your colleagues, your students in your class, because you'll share experiences. Um, but I think as you take more courses and as you continue to work towards your mediumship, you become more confident in your personal life as well and confident with the spirit world because you're creating a communication, you're creating a relationship, and a trust as well. So, you know, yeah, it's really cool to be a medium, okay? But there is so much responsibility with being a professional medium. And, because you're dealing with people's lives, the clients you're working with, um, you're dealing with their lives and their loved ones, and their loved ones in spirit who are very much alive, even though we consider them gone. They're just in a different dimension. So there has to be a huge respect level, but also a huge responsibility to be respectful to both parties. And you know, with that responsibility has to be seriousness. It's not just, you know, you wake up one day and you decide to be a medium. Um, I totally resisted this for many, many years because I was in the hair industry and um, personally, I just really didn't want to deal with this, even though I had a couple mediums that told me you're a medium, and I was like, no, I'm not. I was resisting it. So I was very analytical in my mind, and I had lots of spiritual experiences growing up and through my adulthood as well, through the course of me being a hairdresser. I have to tell you something. This has been the most rewarding experience of my life doing mediumship. I thought working my pinnacle to teaching at Sassoons in London, England, and being able to be with colleagues at the highest level, I think, of doing hair, right, was fabulous, and it was fabulous. Okay, I've done celebrities, I've done models, I've done high-end multi-million dollar weddings for the wedding party for their hair. I've traveled for weddings. So I have done a lot in the hair industry. But mediumship, for me personally, in my personal life, has been the most fulfilling thing I've ever done. So that's huge.
That is huge. I
And
love
and
that.
yeah, and I used to be in front of audiences for hair shows, and I used to teach courses and stuff in hair, and of course I taught classes. Um, and I can just tell you, uh, mediumship has really, I had to be very brave to go into mediumship, because I get in front of audiences and I demonstrate mediumship, and as you well know, Violet, and there's nothing, there's no props, there's no pointing board or podium to, or any paperwork to rely on when I'm working with spirit. It's just me and the spirit world on stage. And so, there's no distractions. There's no, I have to be engaged with the audience the entire time I'm there for 2 hours on stage. And I have to sustain that energy with them to be connected with them the entire time. It was it's nerve-wracking to do that in the beginning. I still get worked up, but I know my energy is working to work with the spirit world. But it has given me the bravery and the confidence, to say, if I can do this, I can really do anything, because it's just you in the spirit world, and you have to trust that they're going to be there for you.
Yeah.
I mean, because, you get up there on stage and you're like, oh gosh, I hope they're going to be there for me. Are you there? you know, because it's like you really have to have a serious trust and a serious relationship with them to know that they are going to be there when you're saying, I'm working now. I'm now Anthony the medium, and I step into my platform mediumship, and I'm here to work. And you let them know in your mind that you're working. That's part of the communication. And then when you're finished, you
Yeah.
know. So we'll cover all of the boundaries. We'll cover some protection. We'll talk about um, grounding yourself before you work, preparing your body to work with spirit, um, raising your energy, sustaining your energy. We'll be talking about that in the intermediate class. So I'll be a little harder on some of you that studied with me last year. But I'm here to push you and challenge you, and to get you to the next level. And that's part of education. We always want to be pushed into something uncomfortable a little bit, because that forces us to grow, right? And we can apply those techniques or those exercises that we'll be covering in class, where you can apply them in your readings, so that you can become a better medium.
I love
Yeah.
that. Well, thank you,
Yeah.
Anthony, for taking the time today to chat with me. And I look forward to us gathering again in a future podcast. So thank you for taking that time. We are very excited to see you in Denver this year. So I'm excited. And those listening, if you're interested in these classes and programs or want to travel to Denver to take these, we will have the link with all the programs that Anthony's going to be doing at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts. I've created his own webpage on our website. So I will place that in the video and also in all the descriptors, so that people can find it. Thank you so much for listening or watching today. Please like, comment, or follow us on your favorite channels. I always love when people share their sacred magic with our audience, and this is definitely Anthony's sacred magic. I wish you a sacred and magical week, and I hope to see you again soon. So have a great one, and thanks for taking the time to listen today.
Thank you for joining us. To find out more about Vialet, head over to discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. You can also send a personal message to Vialet through email, violet@discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. If you love the show, subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. Until next time, remember, we are meant to have abundant and joyful lives. We hope to see you soon at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.